Toes. Take a few breaths. I want you to breathe yourself down to a place where, while we're practicing today, I'm going to ask you a whole bunch of times, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? If the answer comes up, no, or not right now, or not in the way that we're talking about, I want you to be at a place inside where you can just go, put that one to the side. Just let it go. I want to ask you to work at that place where your answer to the question, can you do this, is yes. I want you to be in that place inside where you can feel and find that place. I want you driven by a distraction. I don't want any of that other stuff. So I need you to breathe yourself to that place where you have the best chance to answer that question. Can you do this? And if the answer is no, we need to find a place where the answer is yes. We don't need to convince you that you can do anything in the world. That is not the goal right now. So breathe yourself to the place. You can hear your answers better. Bring your hands up to your heart. Now, it may seem trivial, and sometimes it sounds like I'm talking to kids, and I have said this to kids. I've said this to my own kid too. I asked you to just bring your hands up to your heart. Internally, I'm going to guess there was a little, yes, I can. Yes, I can do this. Let that stuff accumulate like a fine long-term investment. Yes, I can. If you're familiar with the Untitled chant, and if you'd like to join in for that wherever you're at, take a nice deep breath. So nice. Go ahead and bring your hands down and you can begin to let your eyes open up. So a really easy session today, and I think one or two of you have been in trainings where I've talked about some of these little phrases and some of the stories that I bring up from my past experiences. One of them is about this yes I can stuff, and I'm not going to go through all that. Basically what we're going to practice today is very, very easy. The body stuff is, we should get tired, we should feel tired muscles, that can be exhausting. We really hope we work you in places where you can't do stuff. I just love that. But what I want you to do is make sure you hold yourself in a spot where you can try this, try Ardha Chandrasana, and you do it without a block, and I give you some alignment things. I want you to do Ardha Chandrasana without side bending in your spine. And if you go up and you try to do it and you're like, I can't do that, then I want you to take a breath and just move on. Put a block there, put it on the low edge, try it. Can you hold that form in that pose? If you can't do it, breathe, let it go. Take the block up higher. Try it, you can do it. Yes, I can. Bam. I want to find those yes, I cans. And I don't want to worry at all about however many no I can'ts that there are there. I want to get to that. Yes, I can. And if you want, you can ask yourself 3 or 4 more times, can I do that? And I want you to hear internally this, yes, I can. And I'm not trying to fluff your behind or whatever and say you can do anything you want in a really adult way. I don't buy it. So I want to get to the stuff where, yes, I can. I want that to be repeated so many times, so regularly, that you feel internally like you can do so much. That's working from power. Okay, go ahead and stand on up. I heard somebody a little while ago, and they were talking about like your inner power, and I think they were being quite motivational. And it was like, you can do anything. And I just sat there and said, don't pump me up with that kind of stuff, because there's a lot of things I can't do. And I don't want to build that false thing and just have you amped up. So I want to do it the other way. I want to go through a whole session where, man, you just breathe and let go of the no I can't, and you fill your bucket with the yes I can. Inhale and stretch up. Take it up, way up there. Oh yeah. And fold forward, dig forward, fold. If you can't touch the floor with your legs being straight, then I want you to put yoga blocks down there, or put your hands on shins. I want you to have your legs straight for this right now, but I also don't want you to overstress and strain it. Inhale, lengthen and look forward. When you lengthen and look forward, try to get your back natural, neutral, flat. It doesn't have to be parallel to the ground. I just want your back natural, neutral. It's got some curves. Downward facing dog pose. Walk back and take a few breaths. Oh, yeah. I know a few of you out there, so I'm pretty sure at least 2 or 3 of you have been skiing in the last few days. Take your right leg and lift it up. And work your right foot to the front of your yoga mat. Bring your hands up to your hips and just take a solid stance. And I want you to get so solid, steady, that like if some little 4-year-old came running up and pushed you, you'd just be like, and you'd be like the rock. Stretch up. Then take a breath. Okay, make up your mind now. Chaturanga or just down dog. Up to you. Second side. Your left leg up and left leg to the front. Hands to your hips for a couple seconds, because I want you to bring your focus to this stuff. Set up the legs really well in a way and in a position where you can push, where you can hug, and you just feel solid. And then lengthen and reach. If you've been in some of the recent sessions, and we talked about developing and maintaining inner core pressure, head right into that if you would like. You can manage all those. Chaturanga or downward facing dog. From down dog, bring your feet to the front, Uttanasana. So feet up towards the front of your yoga mat, both legs basically straight. Lengthen your heart, spine forward. And exhale, take a deep bow. So this is when we round. Exhale, round it down or in. And then inhale, come all the way up really tall. Take it up there. And bring your hands to your heart. Samastiti. Inhale and stretch up. And fold. And lengthen. Left foot back, strong low lunge. Rotate to the right and stretch up. There you go. Just about a breath or two. I don't know who that is, but I see a massive quadricep there. That's awesome. Chaturanga or downward facing dog pose. Step hop to the front, Uttanasana. As you're warming up, you can probably bring your feet closer and extend your spine. Lengthen your head, heart, and chest forward. So I want you to extend, and there's a goal. Flat back, lumbar neutral. On your exhale, step your right foot to the back. With your right hand down, rotate and stretch up. If you want to use the image right here on the camera, I want you to get those shoulders all the way open. Okay. If you put your hand all the way on the floor and you can't do it, you got to recognize at the moment, no you can't. Chaturanga or downward facing dog pose. From down dog, Uttanasana. Work your feet to the front. Take a bow. And inhale all the way up. And bring your hands to your heart. Let's get in there again. Inhale and stretch up. Take a fold. And lengthen forward. Chaturanga or down dog. Cobra or up dog. We're going to come into chair pose in a second. So from down dog, work your feet to the front. Utkatasana, chair pose. On your exhale, take your hands to the floor. Move your left leg back. Got it? Rotate, stretch up. Remember, it's like be honest, be real. If you can't open those shoulders up, put a block underneath your hand and adjust it until the answer is, yes, I can. On your next inhale, come up to first warrior pose. Just straight up. Chaturanga or downward facing dog pose. Oh man, that is an awesome lateral quadricep there. Step it out to the front, Uttanasana. Inhale and lengthen. Low back, neutral, natural. On your exhale, take a deep bow. On your inhale, all the way up. Take it up. Bring your hands to your heart. Inhale and stretch up. Exhale and fold forward. Inhale and lengthen. Chaturanga Vinyasa, or you can just do down dog. And we're going to do chair pose. So whatever your vinyasa is, both feet to the front and Utkatasana. There you go. Oh, I think I know who that is, but thank you for sharing your vastus lateralis with me. That is a beautiful iliotibial band you got there. Thanks, man. Hey, you got to appreciate a good quad. But it doesn't matter, man, woman, good quad's a good quad. Work your hands down to the floor, and this time we're going to take that right foot back, rotate, and stretch up. And I'm not trying to be motivational here. We're We're just checking in. Can you do it? Wherever your hand is, can you clean, turn open, and stretch straight up? If you can answer yes, hear it. If you can't answer yes, change it until you can. First warrior pose. Straight up. Chaturanga or downward facing dog pose. Bring your right foot to the front, and this time let's do second warrior pose. Virabhadrasana 2. Take your time. This is our first big hip open lateral pose. So if you need to kind of check what angle are you going to turn that back leg open, how are you going to put your feet? You need to line them up really narrow, or is it easier to move the back foot a little more offset to the side? Because I want you to be able to get both hip joints level. And I want to see if you can create the spot where you get pretty close to front thigh level. Can you do it? You might have to adjust the rotation in your back leg. See if you can find it. Arms, when you feel like you got this, arms out. And I'm adding quite a bit right here. I'm taking this back shoulder. I'll change my arm position so you can see it. I'm taking the back shoulder very far back. So I might even just work there. Shoulder back. There you go. Let's switch sides. Chaturanga Vinyasa, whatever you want to do. Yeah. Thank you for sharing your quads. Second side. As much as I love seeing somebody skip their vinyasa and just do down dog, tune in, I also love it when I see those folks repping out their chaturangas. Get on in there. I want you to adjust those legs. They're going to work better when you're not just rushing through this. That back hip joint should be able to stick back a little. The front hip joint should be able to tuck. Chaturanga or downward facing dog pose. Step or hop, Utkatasana. Utkatasana, chair pose. From chair pose, we're going to take that right foot back, right hand down, and turn over. Real basic. Right back into chair pose. And switch sides. So left foot back, left hand down, right arm up. Right back up to chair pose. All the way up, Samasthiti. Okay, so I don't mind if you use a block. In fact, I prefer it. I want you to keep it clean. Otherwise, our shoulder open work is just, we're going to open them and then we're going to shut them down. So when you get in there, please use a block. Even if it's just like, it's a strain to get from here to here. Okay? The block's going to help it. All right. Inhale and stretch up. Make sure you're working in the range of yes, I can. Take a fold. Inhale and lengthen. On your exhale, Chaturanga, or downward facing dog pose. From down dog, bring your right foot to the front. And we're going to go right up into our figure 4 hip stretch position. So just right there. Okay. We're prepping this up to put it in our sequence. I want to do a little bit of work here in this leg. Then we're just going to do a teeny bit. Try to hold this perfectly steady. So this is a really controlled hip joint movement. So we're going to go hip down. Knee down, actually. Hip stays in the same spot. And then up. There's a term that I heard a while ago. I don't think you're going to find it in some Google Scholar search. But some teachers and a couple of fitness folks would use this term, flossing the joint. Now they do something they call nerve flossing. So right now, I'm just going to hold the pelvic girdle still, and I'm taking the knee up, and I'm taking it down. And I'm doing both directions with a lot of muscle. So when I take it down, I gotta squeeze. When I take it up, I gotta squeeze. One more down, hips level, and up. First warrior. Chaturanga vinyasa. We're going to do the other side. If you want, you know where we're going. You pick the way you want to get there. Left foot to the front. Come up and cross. So this is the mindfulness work in here. Begin to work the leg. A little up. A little down. It's a real specific point in the mindfulness, which is I want to continue to work in the range. Can I hold my hips level right here? Can I control that? There's some body mechanics and there's also some awareness. So if I look in my camera or whatever it is and I notice, hey, I'm not holding my form, I'm not doing my work, the answer to can I do this is doesn't look like it. So maybe I use a chair or a counter, about 3 more. And I want to get to that place. I want to go out there, search, find, develop the place where the answer is yes, I can. That's where I want to work. First warrior pose. The long lecture is about karma and dharma and samskaras and stuff like that. Chaturanga, or downward facing dog pose. Step or hop to the front. Uttanasana. Lengthen. Bow. Utkatasana. Chair pose. We're going to go with the right foot back, right hand down, twist and open. I'm trying not to make it easy on you. From here, hip stretch. Okay? On my left leg, come up, cross it. I'm going to mostly focus on pushing the knee up or pulling it up, however you want to say it. So it's knee up, sit on back. And I want to do this hip back. It's not quite like a squat. It's more like, one of the terms is a pendulum. Like this hip is swinging back more than I'm trying to get low. First warrior pose. Breathe. Chaturanga vinyasa or down dog. If you're beginning to lose form or focus, step or hop to the front, Uttanasana, and inhale, lengthen, and exhale, bow. Chair pose, Uttanasana. If you're losing form or focus, awareness or technique, the answer is, no, I can't. Or you gotta work harder. So I want you to get to the place where it's, yes, I can. Real easy, real easy. Get down deep. Let's go left hand down, left foot back. And stretch up. Couple of breaths. If your breath isn't calming and soothing, make the pose easier. Try to do this in as few steps as possible. Come up onto the right leg, cross the left, hip stretch. And we've got that combo there. Knee up, pendulum the hips back. Okay, you might not get down super low. So the hips going back, I want that deep into the glutes. If you need some stability, put your hands on something. Now, nobody is falling over and wiping out, so you're probably all thinking nobody needs more stability. If your form's going off, if you can't do the breath, then even not falling over is not the place you want to be. First warrior. Chaturanga, or downward facing dog pose. From down dog, work your right foot up to the front and then bring your hands up to the front of your heart and take a breath. Okay. So I want to give you a way to challenge this, but I also want you to have a way to evaluate it. In the length of your lunge, we're going to go from lunge to standing. And if you can come from here and eat the knee over the foot and there, man, that's a much bigger hip task. So if you're all over the place, you're a mess, then shorten your stance. Knee is in the same spot. You can always adjust before takeoff. So up. So wherever you're from, deep lunge, come on up, cross. Okay? So I want you to find that. And when you get into that deep lunge, because we're going to take off, you don't have to be vertical. In that deep lunge, you can be a little pendulum, which is hips farther back than your heart and chest. Okay, take your foot back, slow. Plant, second warrior pose. And the moment you lose that front foundation, stepping back or going up, the rest of the body begins to lose form. Chaturanga, or downward facing dog pose. And guess what we're doing when you're ready? Left foot forward. It's not first warrior pose. It's going to be a launch. So explore. Figure out how long can you manage it. I don't want to drop my head. I want this to go from here up. Your length is going to have a lot to do with it. Back, plant, breathe. So I need your kind critique of how you're doing. Is it a yes I can or a no I can't? Come on up, cross, breathe. So form, this is what's interesting in yoga. State of mind matters, mindfulness, focus, awareness, form, alignment, technique, they all come together. They all matter. Second warrior pose, so go with me, slow. You should be able to pause, plant, open. Yeah. If you got fantastic quads out there, make sure that front thigh is open and it's not tracking to the inside. Chaturanga, or downward facing dog pose. Bring your right foot to the front. Bring your hands right up off to the side. Take a breath. Get into your max challenge where the answer about form and everything is yes, I can, and then come up slow. Take it back. So it's slow, 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 plant. We're going to come up into the hip stretch. When you're ready, use those glutes. Up, cross. Beautiful workout there. Take a couple breaths. I like this because I recognize all of you really, really well. In a lot of these past few weeks, there's been a lot of sessions with folks I don't know well, so I hope you guys don't mind if I'm pushing you a teeny bit. Second warrior pose, don't start getting wild. Plant, open. Man, you guys look awesome. Shift towards the back leg, and it's deep. Really transferring that hip joint stuff. And if you can, don't take a seat. So I want you to get here. I want the work. Shift it to the front leg. Okay. Open that knee. There you go. I can see that quad. There it is. Don't let that knee fall in. Keep it open. Up and cross. So if that transition is tough, have fun with it, by the way. Fall over. But I want you to set yourself up for yes, I can. Okay. Let's go back through it one more time. Plant into second warrior pose. Open. Just take it to the back side. And then we'll finish off this side with the first warrior. Looking good, everybody. Let's get to the other side. So Chaturanga Vinyasa or stand up, whatever you want to do. Really just want to work right around that hip joint. Bring your left foot up to the front. And bring your hands in front of your heart. Take a breath. Length, depth. You got to figure it out. Is it a yes I can or a no I can? Come on up. Let's take it back. We're gonna see how far back I should set. This time when I come up. By the way, and you can always shift. Come on up. Let's do the hip stretch. Voila. Yeah. Pretty good. I love it. Yeah. We're always able to find no I can't. If you practice well, you'll always be finding those yes I cans. Take it back slow, deep if you can. Boom. Second warrior pose. Shift to the back leg. This is just deep front, inner hip, inner hamstring. But I also want that form on the back leg. If you want, you can even watch. As I come to the front, I really got to take that knee, front knee, and I got to push that open. Okay. If I go too fast, almost always it gets lost. Turn more, come up and balance. You got it? So that hip joint, we just swung that gate open about 90 degrees probably. Take it back. Okay, turn in the hip and the back leg. Then we're going to take it deeper. Slow it down as slow as you need. So you set up the path, the alignment, the dharma on the front leg. Take it to the front. It's you. It's right there. Do that leg. Turn the hip. Up. Cross. Breathe. I'm going to take it back one more time. Take it slow. Right in there. Plant. Turn. Take it deep. And breathe. Can you soften enough to get back to that place of awareness? First warrior pose. Turn it to the front. Virabhadrasana 1. Chaturanga or downward facing dog pose. From down dog, bring your right foot forward and your left knee down. This is kind of a Captain Morgan's. We're going to take the right leg off to the side. I don't think that's an ancient Hindu yoga term, Captain Morgan's. Right leg off to the side. Okay? And then we're going to do a little bit of shoulder work with this. The hip stuff, we've already started. So I'm going to do this thing where I take my right arm, I'm going to try to reach it all the way around, and I'm hoping you see the hand poke out over here.
Okay? So if you can, right arm all the way around, pin it to the hip. So I'm gonna take that hand and I'm gonna push it right against the hip, and then my palm is out, fingertips, fingernails in towards the body. And so what I'm gonna do is keep my leg open, turn my heart and chest to the front. Okay, make sure you get this order. When I'm turned here to the right, that's when I pin the hand, because I want the shoulder to stay back as I turn my chest to the front. Okay? When I turn my chest, hand doesn't move. Okay? So that shoulder is more likely to stay back. If you can, squeeze the shoulder blade and help it. Okay, so that's right shoulder pin, back and down. Take your head over to the other side. Looking for a big trap stretch. So if you have your hand pinned onto the left hip, that's where you lean your head. Lean your head to the left. There you go, Carol. You got it. Pin that hand. Carol, yeah. Left hand down to your left hip. Hold the other hand. Yeah, bring your right hand around to the left hip, Carol. Through the back. We'll get the other side. Switch sides. Yeah, once you get the technique, it's pretty easy. Okay, left leg, Captain Morgan's, out to the left. Watch the setup. Okay, my heart and chest is going to be turned a little bit to the left. I'm going to take the left hand around the back and see if I can find that other buttocks. Then I'm going to take my right hand and I'm going to grab that left and I'm going to pin it. I'm going to use the right hand, pin the left hand against the right hip. Hold it there. There you go, Carol. Once you got it pinned, try to turn your chest towards the front. You got it. But use both hands, Carol. Pin that hand. Because if the hand is pinned here and then I turn my chest, the shoulder can't move as easy, and so that's part of the shoulder stretch. Then lengthen up your neck, and we're going to tip your head over to that right shoulder. There you go. And you can keep working this by tipping the head more, by anchoring the hand, and by turning your chest. Takes a little bit of tuning in there. Cool. Switch sides. Takes a little bit of tuning. It's great shoulder work. So, right leg is out. I'm going to take that right hand around the back. So it's coming over by the other hip. See it back here. Left hand, I'm going to pin it. If your shoulders will handle it, I can even take this, use my left hand and push it down a little. When I take the hand down, I want that to take the shoulder with it. Turn the chest back to the front. Yeah, I know all of you pretty good. So as you turn your chest forward, you may have to actively keep anchoring. Not just the hand here, but even some scapula rhomboid work. Okay, anchor it back, head to the other side, and lunge. You got it. Fish around. There's a whole bunch of cervical spine, scapula, head to shoulder, head to scapula, stretch, soft tissue stuff. And come on up now, switch sides. There's some really deep, rich stuff in there. Just takes a little fishing. Okay, so heading to the left, turn the heart and chest, reach it around. That's my left hand down there. So right hand, anchor. Doing a full clasp. If you feel like your shoulders will work it, you can even drag that hand down a little more. Okay, so the shoulder, left shoulder pinned back, turn your heart, and head to the opposite side. There you go, Carol. You got it. And if you want to increase this a little bit, it gets more complex, but lunge, take that lunge a little to the left, and you just keep moving the head. There's not just one thing to stretch in there. So there's all sorts of, yes I can, yes I found it, yes I got it. It keeps changing. So you get to figure out what it is. Downward facing dog pose. Yeah. From your down dog, step or hop to the front. Inhale to chair pose, Utkatasana. After that little upper trap, neck release, check and see if those arms have any more mobility up there with less kind of interference up through here. It doesn't have to be parallel. We're just looking for a difference that you made. That's all. Okie doke. Let's start it off on the right side. Right foot back, right hand down, turn, stretch. So remember, you're filling in whatever it is. Can you do it? Can you turn open? Can you breathe? Be mindful. Come up and balance right up into that hip stretch. Whoa. Remember, can you do it, isn't just the pose. It's the alignment, it's the mindfulness, it's the quality, it's the kindness. Deep step it back, deep step. Turn to get into the back hip. Let's mix it up. Third warrior pose. Track that knee right up there. Balance. First warrior pose. Oh yeah. Oh, I'm going to get a couple more of you tipsy here. Chaturanga or downward facing dog pose. Step or hop, Uttanasana. Utkatasana. We're going to be taking the left foot back and the left hand down. Go for it. Can you do it? I know you can. You just got to do your work. Come up across that left leg. Sometimes the answer to that, yes I can, is like, can you figure out the right question to ask? Can you find the right Google search? Can you connect with the right, friends? It's not always like, can you actually perform some extraneous task? Go ahead and open that leg, take it back, balance, balance, balance. Back hip. Breathe. I know if you listen to your body, you study what's going on, listen to your mind and heart, you can do tons. Shift it to the front. Third warrior pose. Come up and balance. I know you can do the work. I'm not saying you can do anything you want. First warrior pose. Chaturanga or downward facing dog pose. From your down dog, bring your right foot up to the front. And come on up and make both legs straight. Just breathe. Whew. Nice work. So we're going to start to prep some of the work I said we were going to do earlier. And we're going to prep our off leg, doing a little flexion and rotation stuff. So if you can, just follow along. Okay. So up and balance. On the left leg, we're going to take that and we're going to lift it up to the front with a knee bend. We're going to take it out a little like that Captain Morgan's. And I'm going to try to keep the hips pretty low. And I'm going to turn it in. So you can take the knee higher if you cheated and lifted the hip. but I want you to just keep the hips level. So can you find that spot where the leg, you really don't have any more room to lift it and rotate. Hip stretch. I know a couple of you here from Salt Lake, I think it's been about 2.5 years, we got into all these deep hip rotation things and standing poses, and they're back. Okay, just go ahead and stand on up. All right, left foot forward, right leg back. I want to tone it down a little. I want the nerves to chill out. So if you don't have to do a vinyasa, because we're going into deeper control, take a breath, let those lower body nerves chill. Come up to the left leg. Shake it out if you need. Let's go right knee up. Doesn't have to be hip height. I want to do that turn and not disturb this. Take a breath. So left leg a little out, it's kind of like that Captain Morgan. If you can, bring your foot underneath the knee and then turn. Oh man. Whew. Got that. It's got an internal rotation. This, by the way, is strengthening inner spiral pattern. It's also bringing awareness to it. Oh. And go ahead and rest. Okay, so now we're going to take that down to the ground. And I love this work, but it's not quite the most intense. So if you want, you can watch for a second how we're going to do this. I'm going to go on my belly, and I'm going to look at first like I'm setting the legs up, like the army man, sniper guy, not your usual character in a yoga class. So from my belly here, I'm going to take my right leg, I'm going to move the knee out to the side, just like that. You can see it right there. Okay. The left leg, I'm going to take it out a little bit wide too. If anybody wants to sharpen up on this stuff we're doing right here, or look farther into it, this is part of the DNS pattern works. So this goes back to most of the time, this is a body position that a 4-month to 5-month-old infant would do, and we're trying to wake up that neural pattern. Take your forearms out like this. So usually on the yoga mat, we're tucking the elbows right underneath the armpit, and so I want you to take your hands out so that you could touch the thumb and the index. Those are going to go flat, and your forearms look like they're kind of making a point. Okay. The next part I want you to do, you guys have done, all of you have done this with me before. We're going to push down with the forearms and make both sides of the rib cage come in. So this is cat pose in the ribs. Mm-hmm. Now, to get a little bit deeper into this, the pressure under your forearms needs to be solid, all the way from the elbow out to the palm. And the harder you push down with both forearms, I want you to develop that access where your ribs squeeze, and it makes you do a little upper bridge. So from about your floating ribs up, you're bridging. Now the next part I want you to do is a little sit bone tuck. So I want you to pull your lower belly off the floor. You might feel your knee and your left thigh push down more. So just wake that up really firm. Low belly, upper belly. And if you stay with this for a few moments, you might be able to notice that one side of your abdomen is toning a little bit different than the other side. Try to get your entire abdomen off the floor, all the way from the pubis up. And rest. Switch sides. Okay, left leg out to the side. Now if you want to get really, really technical, how far out should you take that left leg? Well, when I take my elbow out, my elbow should line up just about that back leg, right here. Okay? If it's a little bit off, not horrible. Push your palms down. So if I just push down with my palms and my forearms, I should get a lot of tone in that mid to upper waistline, right up into the rib cage. If you're here for some of the stuff where we worked inter-abdominal pressure, exhale as you push, tighten the core. Maintain tone as you inhale. And you'll feel the inner core pressure as you inhale to tone. Next part, scoop the sit bones and pull the low belly off the ground, way up off the ground. As you lengthen your head forward, tuck the chin in. And that's the part that's really interesting for some folks. As you lengthen your head forward and you do all this and you tuck your chin in, sometimes you feel it up in your traps. And we're trying to let go of that neural pattern, but it takes a little bit. Okie doke. And rest. Okay, watch this part 2 on that. This is where it gets a little bit more complex. And it's silly. If you ever watch a video or something, or go to a workshop on this DNS work, probably shows up more in like a PT or a chiropractor office than a yoga class. But when you watch a video of a 4.5-month child do this, you look at it and you go, oh yeah, that's exactly what I was working on. And they do it like it was nothing. It's almost frustrating. Okay, so my left leg's gonna be out, going back to the front side. My right knee is out. Setting the palms up, right back up to where I was, and then watch this next move, okay? I really got to get that left forearm pressing, and it's got to press from the core. Because I'm going to take my right forearm off, and I'm going to turn, okay? Knees got to get active, core active, and it's up. Okay, so watch again if you want. Ribs in. Core up. It's a sit bone tuck, and then it's a turn and reach. You got it, way up there. Don't let that shoulder slide out. Way up. And everything from your pelvic, from your pubis up into the ribs and armpits, squeeze it in. And do it again. Come all the way back down, fully unload with your forearms planted. Push again. Ribs. Let's go ahead and go lower abdomen and belly, up and turn. And you can see it a little bit in the image. I'm turning the direction that knee is forward. So this inner thigh can push and help me turn. And come on down. Cool, other side. It's a real weird twist. I did this once after some back stuff. Left knee up, right leg out a little bit. Set your forearms up, and on one side it was just impossible. And as soon as I got the nerve and muscle stuff to work and I could push ribs in, hips, so I got that low belly lifted, as soon as I could activate that and lift and turn, the yoga twist to that side just released. It was so surprising. And come back down. You can fully unload, so you can bring the hips down, maybe even readjust a little bit. We're going to start it at the hands and forearms. Push, ribs in, head up and chin in, and then lower core, low abdomen, all the way up. And turn up, reach up. Way up there, you got it. Let's do 2 more of these. So if you don't have to fully unload it, you don't have to. That makes sense. So make sure you lift your head and go chin in. Up and reach. You got it? I'm going to take a little peek at you. Stay there. Push so that bottom shoulder doesn't slip out. There you go, Carol. You got to root through that right arm. One more time. Bring it back down. It's got to be that constant push. When you're ready, forearms, upper core, mid core, push through the legs, lower belly up, and turn. Take about 2 or 3 breaths and just radiate through the core, and then come on out. There you go. Right leg forward, left leg back, take a kneeling lunge. So let's just go into that regular old twist. We don't have to do the prep work we've been doing recently. We just did a different variation on the prep. So we go arm across. You can also do hand down. Right here, I'm going to do a lot of pushing. That's representing that forearm push. This is what infants are learning. Yeah. So I need to get some of that push to help me turn, and I'm going to use the hand on the thigh. And if you can't, both hands. Let's make this super clean. So bring the hands about 2 inches away from your chest, make the forearms vertical, and push straight down. And then I want you to breathe. And I want you to try to breathe big into your tight core. When you go to exhale, you probably turn. When you go to inhale, if you have your core pressure, it can expand in the direction you're twisting. 3 more breaths. One more breath. And release. Nice work. Switch sides. Left leg forward. Those DNS things, we only did a couple rounds, but sometimes they shock me because I'm a little out of my primal pattern. You know, take a fall on the skis or something like that. Just go across. When I'm doing them, I can feel like I just can't engage. It's almost always connected to some mobility issue. They look so benign, you know, like we're not doing anything. Okay, root, so that's both arms down. The position of the arms is almost perfectly vertical. There you go, nice adjustment. Breathe, I'm going to add one new cue here. So breathe into your tight core, so maintaining inner core pressure. Inhale and exhale, we're doing it. But I want you to push from what's the intercore pressure. So instead of just feeling like you push through the arms, tighten the core. When you inhale, I want you to inhale into a tight belly. And when you push, it's regardless of you're pushing on an inhale or exhale, I want you to think of toning your belly and think of pushing from your belly. And release. Great. Come on down, and we're going to set the legs up. Move your rear end to the left side of your yoga mat. Okay. And I'm going to take that right leg, and I'm going to lean it over here. So if you look right now at just my relaxed, haven't done any work yet, my relaxed amount of range and mobility here, I can push down farther, but just relax, my knee's not on the ground, and that's not a problem. Okay. We're going to do this in what I think is like the easier to access way. We can add a little degree of difficulty on this side, and it will probably go better, but it's harder to access. So I'm going to take, if I can, I'm going to take this knee as far out as this edge of the mat. So if you did look at my legs right now, they're almost 90 degrees. This is different than the 90-90 stuff, by the way. Move the heel almost out to the edge of the mat. I'm going to brace with my arm. This leg position makes me more likely to collapse, and I really want heart up and pelvis tipped forward. Grab your heel. Okay, once you got a hold of the heel, we're going to do about 3 or 4 of these where we take the knee and we're going to pull the knee up. We did this in standing pigeon. If you can push into your hand at the same time, the amount of activity here is going to go up, and that will really help. So push really firm. It's like I'm pushing my heel out into my hand. but I'm holding enough here that it doesn't move. So it's not moving, we call that isometric. Iso, the same meter measurement position. Now take the knee and go down. My knee doesn't go down the same way it goes up. And here's what it looks like, up and down, but I'd like you to do 2 to 3 breaths. So that's my knee up, that's my knee down. And what I'll notice for myself is if I really push down a lot, my pelvis moves. I want to avoid that. Okay? So I just want that one joint moving, up and down about 3 or 4 times. Yeah, you might even notice, with how hard you push and a few reps, maybe even moving the foot a little, you might notice you increase the movement there in the hip joint. Then I want you to hold the knee down as low as it's comfortable, and I want you to push. If we're going to really work into this, we might push for like 2 minutes. Today, I think we can create an effect, or at least start pumping the nerves, neural prep, with just like 30 to 40 seconds. But it's got to be constant, so the constant knee down and foot forward with that posture. It's really, really specific. If you have a tough time with this, you can sit up on a bolster. We basically just keep modifying until you can access the yes, I can. That's it. The modifications are really adaptations. Without the modification, the block, the bolster, there isn't access. So we're not modifying. What we're doing is we're making it accessible. Switch sides. Okay. So if you saw me do this in one of the recent sessions, I just took the leg back like I was going to do a Virasana leg. And that's an option. I actually like it. But today is a sore knee day, so I'm not going to push it. Yeah. And that sore knee, if I take that leg back into Virasana, which is a really deep knee flex, and even if I prop it well, there's more knee compression in there. Those minimal, those light pain messages are going to take part of the real estate in my nervous system. And so the messages I'm trying to do here are going to have this interference. And I really want clean stuff over here. And that's why it's so important to just create access. Okay, let's do a little bit of that up and down. So that's my up. And I'm going to push down, and I want to find, as I take this down, for me what I'm watching is, does this hip do any lift or shift? And that's when I found my limit. I can't take it any farther right now without that lift off. So there's a no, I can't. I'm going to back off. Knee up. It's a beautiful no, I can't. Knee down. And here's why it's beautiful. Because finding out that that's where the no, I can't is also like finding out that's not the right door. That's not the correct Google Map instructions. It takes you somewhere else. Knee down. It's a frame of mind. Yep. That the no, I can't is not a horrible limitation or some sort of a mark as your quality of being. It is simply road sign instructions. That's not the way. That's it. Push it down. If you find your ego or your mind going like, I can make that the way, it is possible sometimes. But check out the battle you're in there. One more time, down. Okay, let's amp this up. So re-energize the push. If I really get that push going, I know my biomechanics pretty good. I know it's supposed to work and I can feel it. And I'm going to take that leg and I'm going to push down. And if I amp those up together, sometimes I start to feel it in that outer hip. Hard chest up. I love this prep work. And release. Okay, you can use yoga blocks. I'm going to set this up into Janu Shirsasana legs. Okay, just looks like this. If you set it up into these legs, There's a couple things I'm interested in here. With that prep work we just did, I'm hoping your pelvis tips forward with more ease because some of the inner hip stuff has released a little. Okay, in addition to that, I'm also looking for the feeling or sensation that you can be more upright, the feeling and sensation that this leg more easily releases down. And you can even do a couple of those up and downs there, shaking the chicken wing. And I guess talking about chicken wings is probably not yoga. Okay, so work that down and then take it across. If you lose this, and what I mean is lower ab length. If you lose that, like if you tuck over, then this is going to turn into a huge lumbar load. So if you can't stay up, then use a yoga strap. Okay, bring the leg a little more in. You could go with the same side hand. Where can you grab that foot? What do you need to use? Which hand? Which leg position? Without shortening the low belly. They'll be a little short. Yeah, so where's your yes I can? When you find it, smile and you found it. So Janu Shirsasana, if this is bugging your knee out here, you can move the leg into a different position. You can sit up on props. You can use a blanket. One of the reasons why this often is very uncomfortable to the knee is the inner thigh muscles, those deep up inner adductor rotators, won't let the leg fall. So we begin to take the leg down, and the lower leg and upper leg bone, they're rotating at different rates, and it feels like twist and torque in the knee, and maybe even some compression on some joint surfaces. And come on up. Switch sides. So take your time, set it up. Doing a lot of upright posture. We're doing a little twisting. And then reach. Now some of the twisting stuff in here, I actually think that when you lean down and do that big twist, honestly I think it feels great when I'm not poking any of my injury areas. But as far as function and things like that, it's not that big of a deal. So up as tall as you can, with a lot of length. The twisting that's going on is really hard to kind of describe. I've thought about trying to draw a picture, but part of what's really going on is right up at each one of your hip joints, where the femur comes into the pelvis. As you lift and you twist this way, those two thigh bones just have to rotate just the smallest amount in opposite ways, in opposite directions. And that's part of what allows you to turn this way. So tension up in the deep hip stabilizers, tension in the core makes this harder and harder to do. Those little teeny movements in there, they do transmit into everyday life things. And come on up and take a seat. Now, if we had that a little bit off, and I think if I know some of the folks out there fairly well, and kind of the age range that we're dealing with and the activity levels, as the meniscus get thinner, smaller, and we start to make a little more contact on some of those knee joint surfaces, when we do something like Janu Shirsasana, it'll create a little ache in the knee, which don't have as much comfort coating in that hyaline cartilage and spacing from the meniscus. So if you come out of those Janu Shirsasanas and it has just given you a little dull ache or slight burn in there, what that's doing is it's telling you about, at that moment, we didn't seem to be able to quite get the combination of the pelvis set in a way that we wouldn't load into the knee joints. And so that's something to listen to. And again, it's not a rejection. It's simply saying, if you wanted hot and spicy Thai food, don't go in that door, go in that door. That's it. Real easy. Take a breath. it's possible in your mind you got some other stuff working. And if you hear the question, can you do it? And you just hear it in the deep recesses of your mind, almost like an echo from way back there. Yes, I can. Can you do it? Yep. Sometimes the answer is to the question, can you let go of having needed to do it in that other way? So remember, this isn't about what we're focused on. Can you do 10 push-ups? It's a lot about finding the question, finding the focus, finding the way to that place where the answer is yes, I can. Sometimes the question is, can you be really, really sad and be okay? Which means you might need to be really sad close to a friend who you feel like can help you. It's kind of a beautiful, easy practice. You got to know the rules of the practice. Because when you get them down well, you can really walk through day-to-day life, hearing in the back of your mind way more than most people hear in their minds. Yes, I can. Take a few breaths. Bring your hands into your heart. If you haven't dove into your Buddhist texts and you read about how life is naturally filled with suffering, then this question might seem a little different. Can you make it a beautiful day? A beautiful week? A beautiful month? A beautiful moment? I know you can. I know you can. Take a deep breath.